You know, in my 4 decades as a sports reporter, I rarely missed a piece of sports history, especially hockey. But in this case, it has a lot to do with my decision to go along with a few of my coworkers with Dalhousie News to bypass this game. But when I ended my unintentional bar hopping to a stripper bar in Quebec, I came home and this game was still on. Of course, we have to be talking about the classic Easter epic, one of the longest overtime games in the history of the NHL playoffs. Now, the Easter epic is a nickname given to a National Hockey League ice hockey game during the 87 Stanley Cup playoffs between the Islanders and Capitals. The 7th deciding game of the Patrick Division semifinals was played April 18th in 1987 at the Capitol Center in Landover. And it's so named because the game started on Saturday evening but did not finish until the early hours of Easter Sunday. Now, because this game was on Eastern time, it was a hour before Atlantic time. When you crossed in Quebec back in the day, you'd lose an hour. So my two co-workers, who will remain unnamed because both of them tricked me that night, he said, let's go bar hopping and we'll drop you off at your dad's girlfriend's place in Attleville after the game. So I said, sure, maybe just go see a little bit of music. So they're driving and they're telling me on the way, oh, by the way, we're going to bring you to that strip bar you were telling us about. 30 miles past the border, past Listegouche Point La Croix, if you turn towards the main part of Quebec, there was a, not saying illegal strip bar, but it was prone to have bikers and other people. They decided to go in. They paid my cover. I think cover was $6, which was big money back then. And there's 3 strippers in the bar. One very beautiful stripper, one very ugly, overweight stripper, and one half and half. You ever seen the movie The Wrestler? It was pretty well exactly like that. Now, I sit down. I was trying to get an update on the game. There was no TV in the bar. It was a lot of heavy metal music from the late 80s. You know, people dancing on poles, people dancing on the stage. Now, after about 20 minutes, I noticed something awful interesting. There was a lot of leather-clad people coming in. My two co-workers were pretty well on whatever buzz they were on before we went in there. And I noticed they were, you know, extremely tall, extremely French, and extremely patchy, if you know what I'm saying. So the 3 of us are sitting down at the table. My 2 co-workers weren't rugged-looking guys, both 5'8". They looked like kind of rechecks from a Halifax gay bar, but I was a big guy. Now, at one time, I was drinking a lot of Diet Pepsi. I had a few Diet Pepsis. They were buying it for some reason. So I go to the bathroom. When I go to the bathroom, according to my 2 colleagues, 4 of the bikers get up at the same time and follow me into the bathroom. So I'm in the bathroom, having a piss by the urinal. I look over, and the guy says, "Don't I know you?" I said, "No, I'm from Jackery across the border." "No, I know you. By the way, do you know that girl that's dancing?" I said, "Which one? The beautiful brunette?" The brunette was about 200 pounds with very all stretch marks. Nice lady, but slightly overweight. "Oh, yeah," I said, seems like a nice lady. She's been working here for a while." I said, "Oh," he said, "that's my girlfriend." I said, "Really?" I said, "No, seems like a nice lady." I said, she kind of looks like a young Gene Simmons." He said, "Your girlfriend, you think my girlfriend looks like the guy from Kiss?" No, the actress, Gene Simmons." "Oh, Spartacus." So I come into the bathroom, and the 4 guys are, you know, high-fiving me and said, "Have a good night." And my 2 co-workers were thought for sure I was going to be killed. Well, I said, if you have bikers buy you the urinal, it's good to compliment anybody they refer to. So about 1 o'clock in the morning, we decide to leave. When I leave the bar, I said to myself, it's going to be late going home. I might wake people up. I go inside, and what I call my family member at the time, he was the grandson of my dad's common-law girlfriend. His father, Jacques' father, was watching something in the kitchen. I said, "Oh, you're watching Saturday Night Live?" "No," he said, "the game's still on." So we sat down, and I think we watched that for quite a while until the denouement happened. So we're going to talk about the game now, but always go to a strip bar right before quadruple overtime, as we like to say. Now, As of 2019, the game is notable for the following. It's the longest Game 7 in Stanley Cup playoff history, and one of two Game 7s, the other being in 1939, to need 3 or more overtimes. It was the first Game 7 since 68 to need more than 1 overtime. It was the first game since 71 to go into a third overtime, and first since 51 to go into a fourth. It was the first time in Stanley Cup playoff history that the road team had a chance to win Game 7 beyond the first overtime. It was the only playoff game that season to go beyond one overtime period. Now, the game ended in the fourth overtime. We're going to break it down quickly. Some of you know, but I don't want to give it away too much. Now, the game was later called one of the 10 greatest New York Islander games. Now, the Patriot Division semifinals pitted the Islanders against the second-place Capitals in the best of 7. It was the 5th consecutive playoff meeting between the squads. The Islanders had won a 3 of the previous 4 series, but looked to avenge their earliest exit from the playoffs at the hands of the Capitals in '86. Now, the first 2 games were played at the Capitol Center. Washington won Game 1 4-3, but the Islanders won Game 2 3-1. At the Nassau Veterans Coliseum for Game 3 and 4, the Islanders dropped Games 3 and 4 by 2-0 and 4-1 counts to fall behind in the series 3-1. Now, no NHL team had won a series coming back from such a deficit in 12 years. Coincidentally, it was the Islanders before defeat, climbing out of a 3-0 goal to beat the Penguins in '75. In a similar comeback fashion, just 2 years earlier, the Islanders became the first team to win a best-of-5, trailing 2-0. That series was against the Caps. Now, armed with that history, the Islanders staved off elimination, winning 4-2 in Game 5. Their momentum continued, and the Islanders won Game 6 5-4 at home. This brought the Islanders and Capitals to a decisive Game 7 before a sold-out crowd on Washington's home ice. Now, with national television audience watching both the States and in Canada, with a great call by Bob Cole and Harry Neal, is on NHL Classics on Sportsnet all the time. Game 7 began at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, ESPN was blacked out in New York and Washington to protect the Islanders and Capitals markets. Now, this was a lone game of the night as the other 7 first-round playoff series had already concluded. Some people say upwards of 5 million people watched the game. I tend to agree. Now, the Capitals dominated the first, scores through 19 minutes when Gartner bet Islander goalie Kelly Rudy to give the Caps a lead 1-0 after 1. Patrick Fratley tied the score at 1 midway through the second, but Grant Martin responded for the Caps, and after 2, they led 2-1. Washington had outshot New York at this point 25-10 and carried most of the play, but Rudy was holding the fort. Now, the game remained 2-0 through most of the third, thanks to the strong net mining of Rudy and Mason. Then, with just over 5 minutes remaining in regulation, Islander legend, Hockey Hall of Famer Brian Trottier backhanded a shot between Mason's pads, thanks in part to a strap breaking on one of Mason's pads. A frantic final minutes produced no further scoring, and the game went into sudden dead overtime, tied at 2-2. Little did anyone know that this game had not even reached its halfway point yet. In the first overtime, Mason and Rudy thwarted many scoring chances, and the game remained tied. Greg Smith of the Capitals had the best chance with seconds left, as his long-range shot bet Rudy, but caught the right goalpost and bounced away. As the game moved on to the second overtime, the players began to tire and show fatigue. Short bursts of action were replaced by longer periods of slow play. Rudy continued to shine, stopping 17 shots in the second overtime, and Mason contributed 9 more saves and was aided by a shot that hit the post by Randy Wood. The score in the second overtime set up the first triple overtime game since Pete Stamkowski had scored for the Rangers against the Blackhawks 16 years earlier. Slowly, the Islanders began to finally take the play for the Caps, outshooting Washington 11-10 in the third overtime. They had the better chances as well, but Mason continued his excellent play as the game remained tied. The scoreless third overtime set up the first quadruple overtime game since Maurice Richard had scored for the Habs against the Red Wings 36 years earlier. Now, with both teams exhausted, play was choppy through the first 8 minutes of the fourth overtime, the 7-period total. The Capitals had managed only 1 shot on to the Islanders' 5. Finally, with 8 minutes lapsed in the fourth overtime, New York's Ken Leiter carried the puck into the Capitol zone and sent a pass through the slot. Gordon Dean eventually pinched in, and Clay carried the puck around the net for a shot that was blocked out to near the blue line. The deflection bounced to Islander star Pat LaFontaine, who had gone back to the blue line to cover for Leiter. He spun and launched a slap shot towards the net, and then the sound hit, boom, the back of the net. Mason screened on the plate, never saw the puck as it clanged off the post to his left and into the net for the game winner. The then fifth longest game in NHL history, and longest since 43, was over after 68 minutes 40 seconds of overtime and 128-47 total. The Islanders, weary but jubilant, mobbed LaFontaine and then a Rudy, winning again 3-2. Washington had not trailed the series up until that point, nor they had trailed in the game. It is still the longest game in Islanders history, and it was the longest the Capitals had ever played to that point. The Capitals also lost a longer game, 79-15 of OT in Game 4 to Pittsburgh in the 96 playoffs. Again, the goal scoring summary. First period, Gartner from Adams and Stevens. Second period, Flatley from Conroy and Trottier. And Washington scored from Adams and Murphy. Then Brian Trottier from Alan Kerr, Conroy. No scoring in overtime, first, second, and third, and then LaFontaine from Deneen and Leiter. Now, what was kind of bizarre about this, the second overtime had numerous penalties called, and Adams was sent away for misconduct as well. Now, statistics of the game, total shots, Rudy stopped 73 of 75, Mason 54 of 57, and Rudy's totals 15, 10, 11, 11, 17, 10, and Mason's total, shots by period, Rudy's totals 15, 10, 11, 11, 17, 10, and 1. New York Islanders totals 5, 5, 11, 11, 9, 11, and 5. And again, power play, Islanders 0 for 1, Washington 0 for 2. Now, the epic concluded at 1:58 local time, which was 3 o'clock Atlantic time, 6 hours and 18 minutes after the first face-off. And Mason stopped 36 shots in overtime, while Rudy stopped 50 from the second period on. Now, the Islanders had to regain their composure and while their strength as they advanced to the Patrick Division Finals against a Russet Flyers squad. They once again fell behind 3-1 and once again tied the series with consecutive victories. However, their luck ran out in Game 7 as the Flyers won 5-1 to win the series. The Flyers didn't want to defeat the Habs in the Wales Finals in 6 before losing in the finals for the Stanley Cup to the Oilers. Now, at the time, the game gave the Islanders franchise the unique accomplishment of having won both the shortest 11 seconds in Game 3 of the 75 prelims versus the Rangers, and longest overtime series deciding games in the history of the Stanley Cup. The longest elimination game mark would be surpassed in 2008 when a 6th and deciding game between the Dallas Stars and the San Jose Sharks took 16 seconds longer than the Easter epic before the Stars scored to eliminate the Sharks. However, the Islanders still own the distinction of winning the shortest and longest overtime winner-take-all games in playoff history. So, from a slip fire to Quebec to a legendary goal by Pat LaFontaine to probably the greatest bunny team in the 1970s, the New York Islanders. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, and subscribe. And any New York Islander fan can tell you, winning the Stanley Cup and playing in the final in 84 was strong. But 87, that big game, has a special place in our heart because Pat LaFontaine was the heart of the Islanders. We saw it in 84, but he never gave up in the third period against Edmonton. But what a game, ladies and gentlemen. And try to see the 1 hour highlight version, but the multiple hour version is out there someplace. I think it takes 2 DVDs, last I checked. Thanks for listening. Bye.